The Triple J Story. Former radio talk show hosts Jimmy Stevens and Jack Ross grew up loving to talk and loving to prank. What better way to utilize their passions by shoving a microphone in their faces, capturing their highly witty, comedic conversations, and uploading it to a podcast? Well, that's exactly what they did. With their producer, Gillian Day, giving them the platform to speak to the world, the loud, energetic pranksters soon found themselves talking about their love for wrestling. A lot. So much so that Gillian couldn't prevent them from doing so live on radio, almost reaching the point of insanity. Rather than fire her annoying co-hosts, she decided to help them out, using her responsible business strategies to provide wrestling training for her boys and eventually get them booked on local wrestling shows. The three quickly became inseparable and soon announced themselves as Gillian, Jack, and Jimmy Triple J, a nod to the radio industry. Reacting to their matches on air, they soon made their debut on the global stage of Impetus. The team experienced early successes due to their unity and their tag team finisher called the Jumpstart. With one member delivering a belly-to-back suplex, the other catches them in a neckbreaker. Using unity, tag moves, and Gillian to their advantage, it places them higher up the tag team ladder. This deadly combination not only causes Triple J to capture the tag team titles within the first 6 months, but also allows Gillian Day to somehow be awarded the women's title. The trio was seemingly unstoppable for about 5 weeks. Losing their titles in less than 2 months, Triple J found themselves at the back of the line and, to be honest, they sort of floundered after their title reigns. With Gillian hoping to focus on, once again, producing great performances from Jack and Jimmy, the stubborn, obnoxious, and irritating trio did a great job in talking, much like their podcasting days, but could never seem to back it all up. Rather than blame herself, Gillian blames her team for their shortcomings. After suffering yet another loss, she complains to her boys, angry with how they are not only embarrassing themselves, but more importantly, her. She needs them to step up their game as she doesn't want to associate with losers. She leaves Jimmy and Jack in sadness and frustration. The dissension is seen between the trio as Jack and Jimmy lose the following week yet again, this time to the impressive rookie alliance of Jimmy Sparrow and Jarvis Banks. With the victors exiting in delight, Gillian is seen standing in the ring, arms crossed, tapping her foot with impatience. As she stares at her allies with irritation, Jack goes to comfort her, only to have his arms swiped away with fury. Gillian starts yelling and pushes Jimmy out of the way before exiting the ring, soon being chased by her boys up the ramp. Eventually stopping her backstage, Jack and Jimmy ask why she's reacting this way. Gillian loses it, telling her boys that they have just embarrassed themselves out there. She reminds them that they are the former tag team champions, and more importantly, she is a former women's champion and is embarrassed to even breathe the same air as 2 losers who can't even win a match against 2 rookies. Jack tries to calm her down, stating that this is just a bump on the road. Gillian becomes irate, stating that it's a little bit more than that. She refuses to work alongside losers anymore and gives them one last chance to prove themselves. She claims that next week they had better win, otherwise Triple J is done. Gillian leaves with Jack and Jimmy standing in shock and fear. With pressure building, literally, a hostile Gillian enters in front of her team the following week, ignoring the stress that she has placed upon her boys. No matter how motivated Triple J appear in this match, Gillian wants better, unimpressed with what she sees. Seemingly about to win, Gillian becomes impatient with her team. Finding Triple J's tagging ability to be somewhat offensive, she stands on the apron and yells at her team. Demanding her boys to prove themselves, this distraction causes Triple J to lose yet again. As the victors exit with delight, Jack and Jimmy look at an angry Jillian with fear, almost like they've upset their own mother. They know what's coming. Jillian grabs a microphone and reminds them of what she said last week. As Jillian builds to a breakup, Jack and Jimmy tell her to just calm down, reconsider, and not make any mistakes. This allows Jillian's temper to increase, as she then states that the biggest mistake she ever made was keeping them on her back for all this time. She tells them that they are no longer her boys and wants no part of them as a team anymore. As of this moment, Triple J is done. Jillian exits the ring and up the ramp with her former boys pleading her to reconsider. Hearing their cries, she turns around on stage and asks what they want. As Jack and Jimmy beg in the ring, Jillian speaks over them on the microphone. She understands that they both want her back, knowing just how valuable of an asset she is to their careers. If they both want her back so badly, then they will compete for her services. They must compete in a series of matches, not 2 or 3, but 5 matches. A best-of-5 series to determine Jillian's managerial services. Jillian states that these maximum of 5 matches will take place when and where she deems fit, and announces that they won't be competing with each other, but Jack and Jimmy will be against each other. Jillian leaves with her former boys in shock. Needless to say, Jack and Jimmy are stressed beyond belief. 1 week after the shocking split, Jack and Jimmy are patiently waiting for Jillian to answer her locker room door. Speaking through it, Jimmy implores their manager to rethink her decision from last week. Then, Sam Pullen approaches the team with a smirk. The boys are glad to see their boss, as they are sure that the president can make Jillian come to her senses. Surely the boss wouldn't put his top tag team in the ring with each other at the next pay-per-view Pressure, right? Sniggering, Sam disagrees and claims that he actually likes Jillian's unique idea to put the two of them in the ring against each other. Combined with the best-of-5 series idea, he is very much keen to see the results. With Jack about to argue, Sam states that Jillian isn't in her locker room right now, as she has actually just come from his very own office. With Triple J confused, Jillian enters the scene, side by side with the boss. Sam states that they are a little too late to negotiate anything, as he and Jillian have just made the match official. At Pressure, Jack Ross and Jimmy Stevens will compete in their first of potential 5 matches. Sam exits with joy, leaving Jillian to grin at her former team. Jack and Jimmy ask why she's done this to them, why she's throwing away years of friendship and partnership. Irritated, Jillian claims that it's about time she sees what her boys are made of, all without holding their hands in the process. Walking through them, she enters her locker room, leaving her boys disappointed. 1 week before Pressure, Jillian is victorious in her own match against the rarely seen Akira. After such, she gets on the microphone and sends a message to Jimmy and Jack, stating that this is what a winner looks like. However, her boys wouldn't be able to relate, as day after day, week after week, month after month, they have been pathetic losers. Jillian prides herself on being a great manager, pressuring herself to set the bar high as not only their manager, but business associate, agent, and booker. She associates with successes. However, with Triple J's momentum descaling, so too is her own. Looking out for herself, she could see Triple J's stock falling and got out while she still could. She claims that she didn't want to break the team up, but wasn't going to lose her career over trying to keep a failing team together. It's obvious from their desperation that they want and need her in their lives to be successful. As a result, she has a stipulation to add to the series. The winner will not only prove that they weren't the weak link to the team, but will retain Jillian as their manager. She claims that she stepped aside to step up and asks which one of them is going to do the same thing next week. At Pressure, the first of potential 5 matches begins. Jimmy Stevens versus Jack Ross, match 1. Both men shake hands at the start and go on to have an even contest, with Jimmy eventually getting a quick pin on his partner. Feeling awkward about the result, Jack and Jimmy stare at one another with confusion, unaware of how they should react. Before a decision can be made between the two of them, Jillian gladly makes it all about herself as she struts down the ramp, gets in the ring, and raises Jimmy's hand. With Jimmy further confused and Jack in sadness, Jillian exits, leaving her boys in the ring to worry. Jillian becomes the master of puppetry, as the next week shows a tense scene between the podcasting pranksters. Jack Ross and Jimmy Stevens meet up in a locker room to engage in awkward small talk, feeling odd about their match from last week. Trying to move on, Jack says that he just wants to go back to the way things were, having Jillian by his side. Jimmy is confused and corrects him, asking if he meant by our sides. Jack disputes and reminds Jimmy that they both know the rules of all of this. The winner of the series gets Jillian's managerial service, which means only one man can step up and get the glory, the high status, and the titles. He tells his partner that he may not like it, but he refuses to be the other guy of this tag team. Shocked and offended by his partner's words, Jimmy gets serious and decides to agree, telling Jack that it must suck for him then, being one down in the series and all. He then claims that by the end of next week, after they have their second match, he'll be 2 down in the series. With a wedge now placed between them, Jimmy exits with Jack worried. The second match between the two partners is seen the following week, with both men still showing each other some respect, again shaking hands, only this time with more intent and focus. Having a 1-0 advantage, Jimmy parades around the ring with a little too much cockiness during the match. With Jimmy taunting a 2-0 win, Jack is able to take advantage of his partner's arrogance and equals the scores with his own quick roll-up. With both Triple J members at 1 apiece, tension seems to be building. An impromptu interview with Jack Ross is seen later backstage. Preparing for a post-victory shower, Jack is asked how he feels equaling the scores of the series. He answers with seriousness. He loves Jimmy like a brother, but the both of them know that Jillian is putting them through a test to see who wants success the most. Jack promises that this is not the only victory he will have over his partner, as he has 2 more coming his way. With the interview ending, Jack proceeds to prepare for his shower, only to turn around and see a blushing Jillian Day in front of him. Half naked, Jack sees Jillian looking at him, happy with what she sees. Acting timid and twirling her hair, Jillian says that she can come back later if he wants. With Jack comfortable, he tells her not to worry, as he's not bothered at all. After all, she's seen him in way more embarrassing positions than this. Jillian sniggers, stating that she has always found his high confidence to be attractive, and as a result, finds herself almost wanting Jack to win the series because of it. If Jack is to win the series, and her management of course, she is fully aware that she will be looking forward to working with a big star. Having a quick glance at the crotch, Jimmy flicks her hair and exits, leaving Jack in high hopes. Jack's next form of competition doesn't actually involve the series, but instead an exhibition match against the annoying vegan known as Chris Vortex. Winning with the Blue Thunder Bomb, Jack leaves with a smile and sees Jillian enter on stage, applauding him suspiciously. Ross is confused and walks past his former manager, who continues to clap, clearly plotting something. With Jillian clearly trying to control the narrative, her boys compete the following week in their third contest. Both men start the match questioning if they should shake hands. Unlike their first two meetings, the tension has clearly become too much for them as they decide not to perform the act of sportsmanship. After exchanging in a competitive contest, Gillian Day is seen walking down the ramp, taking a closer look at the action. Due to their previous encounter, Jack finds Gillian's appearance to be motivating as he climbs up to the top rope, hoping to impress her. As he ascends to the top, he witnesses Gillian clap and cheer him on, almost to an intentionally annoying extent. Noticing this, Jack takes a while to attempt a double axe handle, only to be countered and rolled up by Jimmy for a 2-1 win. Jimmy flaunts his 2-1 lead and approaches Gillian on the outside, almost ordering her to raise his hand, taunting a disappointed Jack in the ring. Gillian surprisingly accepts Jimmy's win and raises his hand, following him up the ramp, almost disappointed in Jack. After his win, Jimmy is seen in the hallway backstage, walking with confidence until he is confronted by his partner. Jack Ross tells his partner that they both know how the match would have ended if not for Gillian's distraction. Jimmy doesn't want to hear the excuses and reminds his partner of his 2-1 victory. With the partners seemingly about to blow, Gillian interrupts, calming the scene. She congratulates Jimmy, claiming that he is just one more win away from obtaining the greatest manager of all time. See, this is what happens when you align yourself with her. Victory. To prove this, and as a symbol of her appreciation for Jimmy's victory tonight, she has gotten him a place in the Battle Royal later tonight to determine the new number one contender to the Coast to Coast title. Jimmy is elated, with Jack angry. Noticing Jack's frown, Gillian states that, with him being down a point and all, it seems as though he must make quite a statement now to be even considered a threat in the best of 5 series. Who knows, maybe Jack and Jimmy won't just be competing for Gillian's services, but maybe they'll be soon competing for Jimmy Stevens' Coast to Coast title. Gillian exits with a smile, with Jimmy excited for his opportunity and Jack upset with his situation. Competing in the Battle Royal, Jimmy Stevens shows signs of becoming the champion. Running off the ropes to deliver more offense, the top rope is then suddenly lowered by the appearing Jack Ross. Jack has eliminated his own partner. Gillian's patronizing yet motivating words have caused Jack to turn on his friend, certifying that he is still a threat in the best of 5 series. Hoping to regain his momentum, Jimmy Stevens faces the rookie of Jimmy Sparrow yet again, this time in singles action. However, Jimmy loses to the rookie once again, sending his stock down despite being 2-1 up in the best of 5 series. From this loss, Jimmy approaches Gillian nervously in a backstage segment. Pretending to be happy after his loss, he tries to act calm, only for Gillian to be mad at him for losing his match. He tries to play it cool, stating that it wasn't even a blimp on the radar. Gillian is furious and reminds Jimmy that he not only lost to a rookie yet again, but further reminds him that Jack didn't lose his singles match 2 weeks ago against Chris Vortex. As a result, maybe she shouldn't be putting faith in him. Maybe she chose the wrong man to support. As Gillian looks to leave in a huff and a puff, Jimmy is worried and holds her back, promising her that it won't happen again. He swears. Gillian stares at her grabbed arm and tells him that it had better not. With her arms set free, she exits with a smirk on her face as Jimmy is now worried. The following week hosts the 4th battle between the partners. With Gillian clearly controlling their emotions, Jack and Jimmy seem to be heading into a war. However, throughout the scrappy beginnings, the duo seems to realize what's happening. They both remember their friendship and, rather than upping the intensity, they decide to have a respectful, competitive matchup, reverting back to their signs of respect for another. Trying to motivate his friend, Jimmy mentions his placement in the series, telling his partner that he's going to have to show a little more spirit to equal the scores yet again. Although not a villainous speech, Jimmy's rant does indeed fire his partner up, as Jack counters with a comeback and eventually evens the score yet again, this time hitting his Blue Thunder bomb. With the scores now set at 2 apiece, the partners hold each other up as they recover. Staring each other down, ready for their final battle, the scene is stopped by the ever so lovely Gillian Day. Forbidding a victory, Gillian enters on stage with fury, yelling at her boys. The whole point of this series was to toughen them up, make them show who wants it more and who could be the better man. As it turns out, she's learnt that Jimmy is nothing but a jabbermouth and Jack is nothing but a big package with a small delivery. She reminds them that they are fighting for her managerial services and refuses to advocate for lame pushovers. She aims to toughen them up, and that's exactly what she's going to do next week. At the next pay-per-view Relentless, the two will have their 5th match of the series, in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Jimmy and Jack look on with hesitation as Gillian says that she will have a definitive winner and leaves with anger. At Relentless, Gillian enters to announce the following contest. Tonight is the night. Now is the moment where 2 careers are decided. Due to their failures as a tag team, only one man is allowed the privilege to have her in their arsenal. Jimmy Stevens and Jack Ross must fight for their future success of their careers right now as they do battle in a 2 out of 3 falls match. With the nervous boys entered, ready for their final battle, they once again go to shake hands with Gillian still in the ring, furious with what she sees. She yells at the two, telling them to rip each other's heads off for her. With the manager exiting, the boys decide to heed her advice and grapple hard in the early goings. Forever wanting things to revolve around her, Gillian makes a huge impact in the first fall. As Jack looks to run the ropes for offense, Gillian kicks him in the back, stopping his momentum. With more shock than pain, Jack looks at his former manager and realizes that she has just turned on him. Suddenly, Jimmy rolls his partner up for the first victory of the match. The winner of the first fall, Jimmy Stevens. Despite Gillian's executed plan, Jimmy seems shocked with it, almost unaware of her betrayal to Jack. Trying his best not to let her loud cheers distract him, Jimmy later heads up for a springboard. However, as he jumps on the ropes, Gillian shakes them, causing him to slip and fall hard on the mat. Gillian has now turned on Jimmy? With both boys in pain and confusion, Gillian changes her game plan and orders Jack to hit the Blue Thunder bomb. With very little hesitation, Jack does as is asked and reacts quickly, hitting the Blue Thunder bomb, resulting in a win. The winner of the second fall, Jack Ross. With Jack shocked, Gillian gleefully grabs the mic and now announces that the deciding fall will now be under Falls Count Anywhere. As Gillian happily watches her creation come to life, Jack and Jimmy continue to fight, leading to a great sequence and leading to both men hitting a double crossbody. Recovering, they get up and punch back and forth, faster and faster until Gillian throws 2 steel chairs in the ring. The two look at each other and then look at the weapons on the floor. They have huge anticipation as Gillian is demanding them to battle. Doing as asked, Jimmy and Jack pick up the chairs, ready to fight. With Gillian on the apron, foaming at the mouth, she can't wait to see the two rip each other apart, all for her. However, Jack drops his weapon. Staring at Gillian, shaking his head, it seems as though Jack refuses to go along with it all. With Jimmy soon doing the same thing, Gillian is now confused as her boys look at her with anger. Jack and Jimmy grab Jillian and throw her over the top rope and into the ring. Refusing to be bossed around any longer, Jack and Jimmy are pumped up and happy to be a team once again. Building the crowd up, they hit the jumpstart tag team finisher on their female friend and leave the ring instantly with momentum. 2 people remain in the ring, a knocked out Jillian and a confused referee. Realizing the Triple J boys aren't heading back into the ring, the official decides to call off the match, resulting in neither man gaining a victory and neither man gaining a manager. Hearing the bell, Jack and Jimmy turn around on stage, looking on at a recovering Jillian. The boys chuckle as they witness her recover. Looking at her proud and sniggering clients, Jillian soon sits up and realizes what has just happened. Shaking with rage, she has a tantrum, flopping around the ring with embarrassment as Jack and Jimmy exit with laughter. From this story, it seems as though Jimmy and Jack have dropped the annoying anchor known as Jillian Day. They continue their tag team, still naming themselves Triple J for no other reason than to mock and spite Jillian. Not only did Triple J return to tag team action, but return to their previous business venture of social media podcasting. With Jillian no longer around telling them what to do, Jack and Jimmy gain more happiness in freedom, doing what they love, being sarcastic assholes to any heels who come on the show, as well as having great banter and discussions with the baby faces who appear. Occasionally, certain episodes of the podcasts are used to promote and even start feuds on Impetus, adding to a great variety to how particular stories escalate. With Triple J getting one over on Jillian, she soon wipes the smile off everybody's faces. Due to her creative mind and ability to stun the crowd, Sam Pullen assigns her the role of matchmaker, giving her a far higher power than just Triple J, allowing her to create matches however she sees fit, and of course, enhancing the power of Sam's reunited Adrenaline team.